and that makes more sense. The running, the tri boot camps definitely make more sense because there's no changing your shoes.
Right.
It's definitely flows better together. And for bike boot camp, you definitely have to sort of prepare yourself that flow is weird. It is very strange. And it's not like the first time I did it, I've written about it. First time I did it, I hated it. I thought this was, I was like, why did they bring this on the platform? This is terrible. And I was like, I can't see my screen. This is not for me. My one friend who does them, she's like, no, keep trying it. And I love them. So I did one today.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 225. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. I feel like we need to start by saying that for years now,
It has been years.
I've made fun of you because of all of your legging purchases.
How about that, Tom?
And I recently, but mine was driven by need,
Right.
not by want.
Well, you act like I haven't changed sizes over the years.
Does it count with leggings? I feel like leggings
It fucking counts.
they just cling to you. And
No, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You've never bought a new size of underwear?
No, I don't know that. Keep in mind, I was wearing the same underwear for like ever. Like,
Okay, well, that sounds awful, but that's because your mom bought you so many pairs.
so every year at Christmas, my mother would buy my sister and me, among other things. She bought us fun stuff too, but she would always buy us socks and underwear. And she would, but whether we needed it or not. So I had so much underwear. Like my mom was dead legit for 10 years before I bought underwear because I had
You were well stocked.
I had so much of it.
You were still opening it when I met you, and
Yes.
your mom had already passed.
Yeah, like you
So-
never met my mother.
No.
Like that's
So-
And so
But now,
But so I had to go on a spending spree because none of my clothes fit me anymore.
yeah, did you? I wish that you would have put the pictures up here of the closet. Oh. That's
so
too bad.
I've been looking for it. So here we go. So for people watching on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/theclipout, this is a picture of my section of the closet. This is the one.
This is after the purge.
This is the one section I'm allowed to
That's not
possess in the
true.
closet.
There's a section above it too. You stinker.
And other than that,
And your hoodies. You are lying to these people.
So this is the section I'm allowed. But
oh my God.
So all of these hangers you're seeing used to have shirts on them.
Yeah. And they used to all be extra larges. And
Yeah.
now you have you have made the jump. You are officially in a large.
I am officially in a large. So there we go.
And for those of you not watching YouTube, you should. And we will also include, Tom, you should include these images when you send out the newsletter this week.
Oh, I will try to remember to do that.
Okay.
That's a big ask.
I
but
know.
I will try and remember.
I'll post them in the group.
So to give people an idea, since we're doing this, here's all the shirts that you can see. These are all shirts folded up that I'm holding on to just in case. This is a safety blanket, but they're there.
That is a Peanuts pillowcase over in the left-hand side.
From when I was a child that I can't get rid of. But so what I was thinking we should do is we should try and find a nerd who used to be 2X and has dropped down to X.
Yeah,
and I can just gift him all these nerd shirts because they're very nerdy. They're the shirts.
They're like everybody comments everywhere we go about your shirts. I mean, you have honed this collection for so many years, and now you have to start all the way over. So if there's somebody out there that like really loves your sarcasm on your t-shirts and you have gone from a 2X to an XL, reach out to us. We would like to gift you some shirts.
Yeah, we can send you a whole bunch of nerd shirts.
Whole bunch.
Yeah. And I guess while we're doing this, if anybody's ever wondered how many hoodies I'm in possession of,
It's
I have all the hoodies folded and stacked in my closet. This is the other section that I'm allowed for my hoodie storage. So there's all my hoodies.
Okay, so they're in rainbow order because when we had our organizer come in, our professional organizer, they helped you put them in color order.
My shirts had been the same way as well.
Yes.
So
it's beautiful. And that's a lot of hoodies. And y'all know how expensive hoodies are. So
yes.
Whenever I get all the shit about my leggings, you just remember this moment.
Okay, but then I'll be done once I've replaced all my stuff.
Oh yeah, you'll be done.
I will never buy another thing.
Right. Okay.
Hey, remember when you were about to throw something away and you were like, "Oh, there's a pair of leggings at the bottom of this bag that I forgot I bought." I've never done that with a hoodie or a t-shirt. Oh, look at that face. John Mills needs to make a gif out of that. I get this face so much in real life. I don't know that people ever see this face typically on the show. I get it almost every day.
Are you done?
I like the face, so I try.
He goes out of his way.
I do. I make strong attempts to get her to make that face at me because I enjoy it.
Well, so. Tom, we've got a lot to cover today.
There's a lot of reason to go watch the YouTube channel now. You saw all my hoodie collection. You saw how many nerd shirts I owned, and you saw Crystal make the face. So, and we're like 3 minutes into this thing. So,
well, we can wrap it up now.
Okay. Keep pedaling.
Bye, guys.
Yeah. So what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
There is so much. We've got to talk about the new UK studio opening. We've got to talk about the new clothing drop that happened. We have Dr. Jenn dropping by. How to prevent a splurge spiral TM Tom O'Keefe.
I think I coined that phrase. I haven't Googled it, but I was like, how do I describe, like, when you have one cookie and then you're like, well, I guess I might as well have 50. Like, I already ruined my day. And then that turns into 2 days and then a week. And then I was like, splurge spiral. So
we also have Angelo from MetPro dropping by. What happens nutritionally to your body when you drink alcohol? We have the answer.
Beyond the calories.
Not just the calories.
Right.
And it's nutritional. Like, we're not going into like blood alcohol content.
Yeah, or addiction stuff.
No.
More just like assuming that it's cool for you to drink. What's it going to do to your fitness and nutrition goals? And then
we have all of the new instructor groups that are out there. We're going to talk about those. And the instructors are pretty much everywhere.
Yes.
They're everywhere this week.
Oh, my word.
And you can find out where the everywhere is right here.
Yes.
So we will quickly touch over all of those.
Because I don't know that I've ever seen this much.
There's one other time I think maybe we hit this number, but
it's a lot.
It's a lot, and I didn't even include everything.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Is that all of it?
I think so.
That's all the teasing we're going to do? Okay, then shameless plugs. Don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us while you're there. Be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. You can also leave us a review. That's always super helpful for the people that come along after you so they know that we're worth checking out.
Yes, please.
Have a new review.
Oh, let's hear it.
This is from Cindy from Trumbull.
Cindy from Trumbull. Okay.
I don't know what Trumbull is.
I wonder if that's a city, like in another country.
I think it's from the Music Man. There's going to be Trumbull right here in River City.
I don't think so, but okay.
And she says, I love this podcast. Aww. It's not enough to do Peloton workouts every day. I need more Peloton in my life, and the Clip Out is my perfect weekly fix of all things Peloton. The best thing about the podcast is that it has great hosts. Crystal and Tom are so authentic, and their humorous and witty banter with each other, their regular guests, and community members reflects their fun nature and love of Peloton. I recommend this podcast to all Peloton lovers, and her leaderboard name is Likes to Bike 14.
Aw, Likes to Bike 14. I'm going to be looking for you out there on the leaderboard.
Yeah. So thank you very much for that. Also, don't forget, if you're looking to help us out, the easiest thing you can do, the simplest thing you do, doesn't cost you a dime, just share an episode on social media and let people know that you dig it, and it's a great source for Peloton info, because if you love Peloton, chances are you have friends and or family who also love Peloton that might want to check out the show. And you can find us on the aforementioned YouTube channel, youtube.com/theclipout. And while you're there, follow us as well.
And to those of you who mentioned us on the OPP this week, Thank you.
Yes, that was very nice. Thank you so much. And we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And there are going to be so many articles thrown at you this week with instructor appearances and Peloton news. And if you're trying to be like, oh, how am I going to find these all? Very simple. You sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com and you will get a weekly email with all the links right there. Super easy for you to find, but with no fart noise. Only because I can't figure out how to add it. Because I will totally do it.
Okay.
So anyway, there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Run, lift, and live with John Mills.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube, it's John Mills from Run, Lift, and Live. Hey, John, how's it going?
How's it going? What's happening?
I didn't have the video up and there was a delay, and I thart, is everything
Did we lose
okay? What is happening?
He was revving.
Oh,
That's his
I see.
rev up. He was like,
rev it up. Start slow and then go in hard.
A dramatic pause.
That was the warm up into,
Ooh, goodness.
He's got his new grandpa shirt on. He's mixing it up today.
That's right.
I love it.
Have mix it up a little bit. I tell grandpa jokes periodically.
We're just all about the YouTube channel this week. You won't get that joke if you're not on the YouTube channel.
It's true.
So
it's true.
There's one more reason to go check it out. So I guess let's jump in with this.
We were starting.
Yes. So Apple Fitness announced Apple Fitness stuff, and
they did.
And so turn that into a question and answer it.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed. I'm not gonna lie. I thought, okay, so I think I'm starting to suffer from Danielle Verwey syndrome, and that is.
I just thought she was making you suffer. I was like, wow, that's harsh. She always seems so pleasant to me.
No, but what that syndrome is, for those who don't know, is that John makes these wild predictions and you believe them, even if it's for 2 seconds. And then when something happens contrary to it, you're like majorly disappointed. So,
John,
exactly.
Are you a Russian bot?
I don't know. There's a possibility I'm doing that on purpose. There is a possibility.
He does post a lot of memes.
I will tell you this. He won't tell you this off air. Before we start, we asked, "Are you a Russian bot?" And he, without even thinking, he said, "Nyat."
Okay, but my point is that, John, you had said you thought maybe they were going to start doing live classes because Peloton's announcement the Peloton's opening for the UK studio was going to happen around the same time. And so, I thought that was a pretty wise thought process. And so I'm watching this and I was like, really? That's it? You're adding Pilates and you're adding meditation, guided meditation. That's it? I mean, Peloton's had that for months.
Right. I take these pieces from abstract areas that may not even apply and then try to formulate an opinion that then generates conversation. So I just took the fact that they called it California streaming, that there was a possibility that the Apple event was aligning to content streaming. And then I took the fact that Tonal was about to do live stuff. And I just kind of threw that into a pot and then added some seasoning and then just went, you know what? I think they're about to do live classes. But that was wrong.
They weren't.
I don't think Apple cares.
I don't think they do either.
I think unless and until you see an actual product from them, a health product from them.
Right.
They create their own bike or their own elliptical or their own belt thing that you get in and it shakes you like Curly from the Three Stooges. Until you get something like that, I don't think they care. I think their thought process is it just needs to be good enough.
Yeah, I think
go ahead, John. I agree with that. I agree with that. But I think it kind of aligns to what we said. I don't know when it was, last year or whenever, when they initially announced Apple Fitness Plus, and the thought was, I think they just want to sell more Apple Watches. Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe this is just another subscription thing that might get you to buy more Apple Watches.
Especially since they bundle those subscriptions,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it kind of just works into that realm. But I do think that Apple feels that from a connected fitness perspective, their structure in that world is the watch is the hardware, and The Fitness Plus is the digital app, and that is your connected fitness pairing. And we can compete in this arena because we got so many people with that offering. I do actually think they feel that way. And I also wonder if what the announcements yesterday was more about them trying to do like the like an Old West cut them off at the pass type deal. Because you notice a lot of it was about, oh, you know, we're going to be available in 15 more countries. So now it's 21 countries or whatever it was.
It was 15.
And right. And so, you know, by the time Peloton gets to these countries, they're going to already have watches and Fitness Plus. And so it's a possibility they're trying to play, but they're just going, we can't beat them right here. Let's go way over here and cut them off before they get there.
And I still don't think that that's going to be an effective strategy because I feel like they don't have a product that can stand on its own, right? It's something that's bundled in. It's like, well, let's see. I really want unlimited data and I really want Apple Music and Apple TV and I guess of the 4 other things I can pick, sure, Apple Fitness, right? Like I don't think there's very many people that are like, I bought this so I can get Apple Fitness.
I definitely agree with that.
And so I think that people, even if they have Apple Fitness, when Peloton hits their country, I don't think it will affect their decision one way or the other to buy Peloton to buy a Peloton, because I feel like perceptually people don't feel as if they're spending money on Apple Fitness. It's something that's already baked into something that they were gonna buy anyway. It's not in their mind an additional cost. And so
I agree with that.
I don't think it slows down Peloton when they go into those new countries and territories, because the people are like, it's not, it's there.
But for
whatever.
people, I think where they do have footing is for people who are on the end where they would only get the Peloton digital app. Peloton digital app might pull them in the rest of the way to get a bike, but this keeps them from having to do that. And so
potentially.
I think that if you're already an Apple user, that's, you know, it's just, it already exists, and it's not. John, you summed it up. It's good enough. It's not fabulous. It's not the instructors we have at Peloton. It'll do.
Yeah.
That's fine. And then if you get like, you know, this Apple diehard in one of these other countries that already has, you know, an off-brand or a different brand competitive bike and tread, and they fall in love with the Apple Fitness instructors for whatever reason, you now have to weigh, do I want to spend a couple grand on Peloton hardware? Right. Or am I just good with, I don't got to spend anything. I think there may be a group of people that are there, but I hear what you're saying. Like,
I think there is. Like that. I don't think that it's enough to really do any major damage to Peloton's ever encroaching growth.
Right.
I also think that they're trying to compete, that Apple is trying to compete with Garmin. You know, there's a whole lot of people out there that have Garmin watches, and they like to do outdoor biking and outdoor running, and then they can use that to have their heart rate on their indoor bike. And I think that Apple is going after that market because of all their new bike. So now, Tom, they added a bunch of bike things for outdoor biking. So like when you're riding your bike and you're like, how far have I gone? It freaking tells you. I tell you what, I still want a new Apple Watch. Like, they had enough things that it's smaller and thinner, and it like looked really cool. I don't need it, but I wanted it. Because I absolutely wanted it.
Because I bought so many new t-shirts and hoodies.
Yeah, it's your fault, Tom.
You know what I don't get, though, about the whole the outdoor it said it now has a feature so that it knows if you start riding outdoors. Oh, that person's riding. So start your workout. You're on a bike, you're riding. But then it said it'll also it detects if you crashed or you fell.
Yes. Yes.
Like, how does that help me? What's it going to tell me? You crashed.
No, John.
It'll call 911 for you.
What am I missing?
John,
it will call 911 for you.
Literally, yes. It calls 911.
Are you serious?
Yes,
and if you have emergency contacts set up, it will call them too. If you don't respond and you fell, then it will be like, Erica, this guy just fell. Do you want to go find him? And it will tell her, it will drop a pin and lead her
exactly where you're at
to you. Yes.
And to show you how advanced it is.
I like that.
Here's how advanced it is too. So that's if you say, yes, I want to go help. If it says no, it will help her set up a Tinder account. They're like 3 moves ahead.
So it is a very cool feature.
I kind of like that because I was all lost. I was like, that's not going to help me if I crash.
Right.
And this watch keeps telling me I crashed. I know I crashed.
No, we had a news story about that not too long ago.
And it was a Peloton employee that it happened to. He was in the hospital.
And didn't he have like a head injury? And so he wasn't entirely with it. And
he fell in the bathroom at the hospital and they located him. And the only reason he's alive is because of his Apple Watch. Legit.
Apple Watch.
Yep.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So if you want to buy an Apple Watch, you can use promo code the clip out. No.
I wish.
I know. Somehow we stumbled into an ad for Apple. We weren't trying to, but
and there we are.
Here we are.
Because of my confusion.
Because of your confusion, yeah.
Yeah,
so.
it's
That's how we got here. It's my fault. It's all on me.
So Adweek featured Peloton's own Jayvee Nava.
Don't you love seeing Jayvee?
I do.
I saw a picture come up and, my job, I'm all stressed out and I see a picture come up in the ad or a big smile and then you all of a sudden get a smile.
You do. You do. I mean, she's been part of the community since day one for me. Yeah. And it's amazing. But I will say this article, that quote you put out there, first of all, this is a great article. So what I'm about to say, you should still read the article because it's just talking about the success of Peloton and the community and everything. But there was one issue that I had with it. And John, you posted on Facebook about how social media can, there's all these tools for social media and that people can use them to like make social media better. And this quote came from Jayvee and I was just like, but then why don't you? Why don't you guys make the OPP better? You can. There are so many tools on Facebook now. There are keywords. Yeah. There are things that like can keep people from posting. And yet it's still so mean over there. So mean.
Yeah. My thing with it, I'm not as familiar with the mechanisms to kind of manage to that stuff. I just found it really interesting that Jayvee was clearly acknowledging that there's somewhat of a conundrum with this, and that I think the interviewer asked her like if she had any question for marketers, like what would be the question, and her question was like what is the business's responsibility in kind of managing to what's going on in these social spaces, and how should we be doing that?
Almost making it a conversation, not so much that she was saying, like, here's her opinion. Yeah. Gotcha.
Right. And I kind of, people under that statement, when I posted it, they had kind of the same perspective of like what you just said, like there are all these tools, you should be able to do it. There's ways to do it, which is where I wasn't as clear there, like in her position and in what are those tools and what are the contention points of why you may or may not want to do certain things? Like that's just not my arena. But it was what struck me was that she recognized it as this is a little bit of a conundrum. So that's what I was posting about. I found that interesting because you hear it from the community, but I never really heard it from
Peloton
point of view.
They very rarely talk about it. I remember a long time ago, I had a conversation with Jayvee. And she explained to me that like there are so many rules that people have to break before they can kick them out. Like the terms and conditions, you can't just kick a person out. It has to be based on something. And then they get like a certain amount of time that they're like kicked out and then they can apply to come back. And
is this to be in the OPP or not for their actual Peloton membership?
No. Right. This is on Facebook. Sorry for any confusion there. That's a good clarification, Tom. And so if they then break that rule within the community again, then there's another set of processes. And so, I think that's where it comes from, that it's so difficult to police. But there's also so many new tools that Facebook has put into place with keywords and things like that really there should be more policing than there is. I will say, on the other hand, that a lot of that comes, the rules that Facebook has put into place is about postings, original posts, not comments to posts, which still does not fix a lot of the problems. It still takes a lot of policing, and with almost 1 million people on that. Literally 1 million people. It's really hard. Yeah. But it's terrible over there. And I can't even stand whenever somebody posts something so generic and it just turns into such a mean pile
Which
up.
is why you should go to the facebook.com/the clip out and like the page and join the group, or run, lift, live.
Yeah. Both keep it very nice.
Yes.
We try.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting. And it also kind of talked about her journey, from studio lead into kind of community head, and it talked about how that came about from a Peloton perspective, the organic nature of how that came to be, and Jayvee seeing that and then taking over that and trying to figure out how to incorporate the community and their social interactions in with feedback so that Peloton could be better. So, and we've talked about that in the past as well, right? Like how the community came up with the Facebook group and then Peloton, and she kind of talks to that, which I just found also fascinating. It was nice to hear it.
It is,
Also just nice to hear, from Jayvee. That was good stuff.
It's also nice to hear from Jay-Z.
Yeah. And it's always nice to hear from Jay-Z.
Both are good.
Absolutely.
Both are good.
Yeah. Well, I will say when we went to our first HRI, which is what they called homecoming before homecoming, we were in the door for 30 seconds.
And we came
Jayvee was on us.
Yep.
And
we mean that in a good way.
In a good way, yeah. And was super helpful and didn't laugh at us when we said we were starting a Peloton podcast.
No. She led us right over to Matt Wilpers, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And
instead of an attorney.
Yeah.
Which she probably regrets to this day.
Jayvee, that crew, they kind of are in my heart.
I know. Those early days, all the people that it's very different at corporate now, but the people that have been around since the beginning, special place in my heart. And I know you feel the same. Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then real quick, I saw an article that we thought you'd have an interesting take on, and it's from Buzzfeed, and it says, "Will Peloton's Cody Rigsby be the first internet celeb to reach mainstream fame?"
Right. Yeah. This kind of threw me, right? Because I know we talked about ascension last week from bike celebrity into this different stratosphere, but this kind of aligned him to kind of internet social media celeb.
I think that's fair.
I never thought of that that.
I never thought of it through that prism. But if you step back and think about it, Peloton is a social media. It's an internet channel. Right? You get it through your Wi-Fi. It's not a traditional network television or even cable television. Yeah. It's basically like YouTube that you watch on a proprietary device that only services you fitness. Mm-hmm. And so I do think it's fair to classify him as an internet star. It's a different kind of internet star, but it is a constantly shifting landscape.
I'll tell you what, if I want to. I didn't pull up these screenshots for this week. I wanted to kind of save it for when we have the first episode of Dancing with the Stars next week. But I will say that I went out to the Dancing with the Stars Instagram page, and John, I think this is right up your alley. If you look at all of the different contestants' number of likes,
right.
Last week when this aired, when they first put these out, Cody literally had 2,000 likes compared to every other contestant had no more than 200, and some only had 38 to 50. Now, I haven't checked those numbers this week. Like I said, I was going to save that for next week to actually show the screenshots, but my point is that is amazing. It looked like Cody had went out and said, my photo from Dancing with the Stars, and he didn't. Yeah, he did not do that.
And the thing is, too, surprised. When you talk about level of engagement, I think is what it really shows, because he's got 860,000 Instagram followers, but that JoJo Siwa's got 10 million.
Exactly.
Right.
And JoJo was one of the ones that had the most comparatively, and it was still only 200 at the time. Now, again, this may have changed by next week, but yeah, that's fascinating.
I got two thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
First one is I would have never thought that. I would have thought we would have went out there and JoJo Siwa and the others would have had, thousands and thousands and thousands, and Cody's would have been down here, and then we would have been trying to fight to get his up to. This is surprising. That is not what I would have expected. Second point, though, the people that are following JoJo Siwa probably don't watch Dancing with the Stars, I'm assuming. Right?
I think that's kind of their business model with some of these people they pick.
Right.
Like people always make fun of Dancing with the Stars because sometimes the names you see on there, you're like, who is that? But they know they're deliberately picking people, I think, who have strong fan bases that they can then pull into the Dancing with the Stars ecosystem. And so I think a lot of that's very deliberate. People think they don't know what they're doing, but the show's been on the air for like 12 years, so maybe they got it figured out. But I think that's very purposeful.
Yeah, I agree.
But like I'm this old dude sitting on the couch at night at 7:00, and if you tell me Cody Rigsby's on the next channel, I might just go, okay.
That's exactly it. That is exactly it, John. They're going to have all these Peloton people watching because they did. That's what Tom's point is.
Yeah.
So they have all these JoJo fans watching now.
Hoping they'll do the same thing.
Yeah, and I think they will. I think they will.
But with a JoJo Siwa fan who was about to go call her friends to go do something, he's about to go out somewhere.
Yeah.
Decide that he gonna hang out with his parents and watch Dancing with the Stars.
No, they'll watch it in their room on their phone.
Yeah, they'll watch it on their phone. They'll stream it the next day.
Yeah.
They'll, you know what I mean? Like it's no longer just about ratings. Like they actually do ratings now in a way where it's one of the metrics they take is like air date plus 7, and so like you have like 7 days to watch it on your DVR for it to count in the final ratings. So
but that's ratings. Now I'm curious how this works with the the actual voting, because you get to vote when you're at home,
and that's a little bit more time sensitive.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
it will be interesting. I'm not saying you're wrong about her fans, but I do think that's their whole idea. That's their whole point. They want them to watch.
It seems like we're seeing some type of a dynamic already that, us old folks are like, really? And we're out there liking Cody, but JoJo Siwa's fans aren't.
Well, nobody was.
Something.
Nobody was. I mean, that goes across, Cobra Kai guy. He didn't have any more likes either. Nobody had more than 200 at the time. So I mean, that's 10 times difference. And I don't know. I'm very curious to see if that holds up next week. I need to check the numbers before this episode airs to see, because I don't want people going out and
being like, this is totally wrong.
Yeah. Let me
because I will also say that like a JoJo Siwa fan base is the sort that'll see something like that, and then they'll rally the troops and be like, everybody, go hit this page and make sure our girl is where she needs to be. So
they like that.
Yeah.
They like the Beehive. You say anything about Beyonce and the Beehive is coming.
Oh, totally. Or Taylor Swift.
Peloton is like that. Peloton is like, are you kidding me? I mean, I remember when Jen Sherman's daughter Carly was up for a soccer award, and she posted about it, and everybody in the JSS tribe went nuts. I mean, insane. We were voting daily, and Jen Sherman was like, "Please stop." It looks like we have bots, you guys. Stop it.
Maybe it's a Peloton fanatical thing.
Well, I mean,
it's something specific to us, maybe. I don't know.
We're a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
We're just a little nuts. Just a little.
Just a little.
Yeah. Just a smidge. Well, thank you so much for joining us, John. Until next week, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook in my grouper page, Run, Lift, and Live. They can find me on Instagram, Run, Lift, and Live, or at runliftandlive.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Talk to you guys later.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
The Coup-Out.
So people have obviously heard us talk about Tonal before, but you might get a kick out of this. They now have live classes.
Yeah, it starts on October 20th. And so there's going to be a live leaderboard. There's going to be shout outs. It's going to be different for every time. Every class will be different. I am so freaking excited. I cannot wait.
Yeah, I know that's one of the things that people that come from Peloton to Tonal, that's a little bit of a culture shift for them because everything's on demand over there at the moment. So I think a lot of the Peloton people who have made the shift or added it to their regimen, we should say, are going to be super excited about finally having live classes.
Absolutely. And Tonal helps you train smarter so you can get stronger and faster. You have an entire gym and a personal trainer in your home.
It's the smart home gym that knows your limits and then pushes them higher. They have patented digital weight system, and it senses your strength and adjusts the weight automatically in real time so you can get the most out of every workout.
The future of fitness is not dumbbells, it's digital weight. Tonal uses a revolutionary system of dynamic resistance powered by electric motors for strength that you can feel. They have more than 170 exercises, so that's an entire gym, and Tonal can deliver 200 pounds of resistance with a sleek design that can fit nearly anywhere.
Tonal uses 17 sensors to provide real-time feedback on your form and technique, allowing you to get the most effective workout every single time.
Tonal is so confident you'll love it, they offer a full money-back guarantee.
You can now get Tonal from $63 per month and 0% interest over 48 months. Visit www.tonal.com and for a limited time, get $100 off when you use the promo code TheClipOut at checkout.
That's www.tonal.com, promo code TheClipOut.
Tonal, be your strongest.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jenn.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jen Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. You may know her from VH1's Couples Therapy with Dr. Jen or VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jen. Her long-running radio show, The Dr. Jen Show, she's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jen's 6-Step Guide to Improving Communication, Connection, and Intimacy. It's Dr. Jen. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
We're so glad you're back. We've got somebody that needs your help. This is from Angie Harbaugh. She says, how do you not go completely off the rails when you aren't quote unquote perfect? For example, she already blew her plan for the day by eating 2 Oreos, so she might as well eat 10 more and start over tomorrow or next Monday.
Oh, I do this.
This all or nothing mentality is my biggest issue, and it continues to haunt me.
Yeah, I do. You know what I call that? My 30s.
I get this. I used to be like this. I did a lot of work on myself in order to overcome that. And, I call that diet mentality, that all or nothing, that I blew it. I ate something off of my plan. Now I'm going to go crazy and eat, tons of food that I consider to be quote unquote off limits. And I'm not saying me, I'm saying her, but I'm a big believer in what's called intuitive eating. And intuitive eating is about learning to listen to your body, eat when you're hungry, stop when you're satisfied, really tune into what your body wants, what it responds well to. And look, sometimes it is those Oreos. Sometimes we need to have something a little sweet, whether it's because we're just having a craving or because right now life isn't very sweet and we need a little sweetness in our food if we're not going to get it in our reality. And I think that we have to really conceptualize food differently. And that when you're looking at following a plan and like a quote unquote diet, I'm very anti-diets. I have an app called No More Diets specifically for this reason. I had an eating disorder for a decade and I thought I would never, ever be free of it. I thought I would always be counting my calories and making plans and breaking the plans and thinking about what I was exercising. And now I'm not like that at all. Now I eat whatever I want. I'm vegan, but I eat any food. There's nothing that I don't eat a vegan version of. I love ice cream. I love cookies. I love all that sort of stuff. But I've learned to really tune into my body and find that happy balance of eating those kind of fun foods when I really want those foods and like having that be a positive experience. And it just sounds like she may be depriving herself too much. And that the studies actually show the more you deprive yourself of these kind of foods, the more likely you are to be out of control when you are around them. So she may need to really reevaluate and kind of look at her relationship with food and what's going on that she's feeling so out of control. And, I know when I felt that way, when I was in the midst of my eating disorder, that for me, I felt like, oh, well, I could never have a healthy relationship with an Oreo cookie. I could never, have that stuff in the house and not go crazy. And what I had to do was legalize food and allow myself to eat all of these different foods and give myself kind of open season on them in order to not have that scarcity mentality of, oh, I got to eat it. I'll never do it. I'll never eat it again. Or I'm going to take those out of the house. And I talk about this a lot in my No More Diets app, because it really takes people through the process of intuitive eating. I've got videos on the website or on the app. I've got, food journals. I have the hunger scale from 0 to 10 on how to rate your hunger to figure out when it's really time to eat as opposed to following the clock. And I think that really this is someone who needs to tune into her body and to really work on the big picture of changing her relationship with food.
I like the scarcity mentality. It reminds me of like when you're 20 and you're drinking. Right.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
you never know when someone's going to buy you another beer.
Somebody offers you beer. You're like, it's a Tuesday. And you're just like, well, I don't know when I'm going to get my next beer. So I'm going to drink this beer now. Or when you turn 21 and you leave a 6-pack in your fridge for 6 weeks. You know?
Yeah. I read a terrible headline but it somehow fits, that they said in this women's magazine, this is decades ago when intuitive eating was first getting a lot of press, that intuitive eating does for food what marriage does for sex. Have whatever you want. You don't necessarily need it quite as much.
Oh my God, that's great.
Also a good analogy, unfortunately. Yeah.
Probably not a very good one as a therapist for me to be spouting, but
you see the humor in it.
I definitely see the humor in it. And I do think that when you can't have something, you want it more, you obsess about it, you think about it, you lose control with it. And I think that it's really important that this person really work on changing her relationship with food, whether it's by using my app, working with a nutritionist or dietitian who understands intuitive eating. But it sounds like where the problem is not about forgiving herself or not forgiving herself as much as changing her relationship with food.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Well, hopefully that helps Angie.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Until next time, where can people find you?
You can find me on social media at Dr. Jen Mann, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Mann. And I post all of my Peloton workouts on my Insta stories.
With your kitty.
With my kitty, Emmy. You're the best 4-legged workout partner.
Peloton in the news.
So Peloton announced their new apparel line last week, and we have a greater insight as to what to expect from it now.
Yeah, we do. So there's 4 different kinds of fabrics that they created. And I had a lot of people ask me, like, what is different about this line? Why? Peloton's been putting out clothes for years. What's the deal? The deal is that they designed the apparel and they developed the apparel. And you're probably not going to see collaborations anymore. Or if you do, they're going to be a lot further further between. Yeah, exactly. So there's 4 different fabrics. The Cadent fabric is a polyester spandex blend with a micro peached finish designed for comfort and motion. Then you have the Light Lines fabric. It's designed for moisture control while remaining lightweight. The Move Mission fabric is high performance, activity, and compression, and the Essential fabric is soft, silky, and designed to be super stretchy. So it's going to have men's, women's, and gender neutral style. There's going to be accessories. And of course, that's all available online at apparel.onepeloton.com. Some Peloton showrooms will have it as well. And the prices are going to range anywhere from $15 to $118. Of note is that I placed my order for this new this new line on September 9th. Right now it is September 15th and it has still not shipped. And I did check again today.
Oh, she checks.
I do check. So that's a little bit of a bummer. I'm a little confused by that because if they developed it and they designed it, shouldn't they also be, maybe they're not housing it. Like maybe it's not in their warehouse or something. I don't know. I think we've got a whole new shipment dealio we got to deal with.
Not again.
I know.
Not again.
And from what I've seen, nobody is getting it. Like this isn't just my shipment has not shipped. No one has seen the new line yet. So Eek. Hope they get that taken care of.
Yeah.
Real soon.
Absolutely. That'll blow up real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprised we haven't heard more already.
Me too. The UK studio is live.
It is. Yesterday was the big day. So as we mentioned earlier, it coincided with the big Apple news. And so, it was weird. I really thought I thought Peloton UK would drop all these new classes the day of, and it didn't happen. So I had to apologize to Gail Fine because I was like, Gail, it'll be fine.
No pun intended.
Yeah. They're gonna drop a bunch of classes that day. It'll be a surprise. All the instructors. No, they had two live classes from the bike studio. I don't know how many they had from the tread studio. I actually did not check. But if you're watching the YouTube video, it's interesting because the lighting is so different in the UK studio than it is in the New York studio. In the New York studio, it's a lot darker, and in the UK studio, it appears to be more like what happens in the strength studio. Don't know if that's what we can expect in the US as well in the future, but it's different.
Interesting article from Yahoo about recorded music revenues climbed 27%. Vinyl sales skyrocketed 94%. I don't get you people, but whatever.
I know.
But the reason we're discussing it here is because part of what was driving that was Peloton.
Yeah, they said that streaming accounted for 84% of all revenues, up 26% year over year to $5.9 billion, due largely to new licensing deals with companies like Facebook and Peloton.
So just a friendly reminder for people who've been around for a long time, when everybody was like, Peloton stealing from these poor music artists, and we were here, we're like,
that's not what's happening.
Nobody knows how to price it. They're going to sue each other. They're going to both punch each other in the face.
They'll work it out.
Then they'll work it out.
And
then Peloton will give them a shit ton of money.
And
here's the moment where they're getting their shit ton of money, just like we said.
Ta-da!
So please send all apologies to @ClipOutCrystal on the gram. I found an interesting article from Outside Business Journal, which I believe is a business journal for outside companies, like companies that deal with the outdoors.
Not companies that only are like
snow cone booths.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hot dog carts. Can you tell I'm hungry?
Yeah.
But it says it's an opinion article, and it says what the growth of the Black Peloton community can teach the cycling industry, and it's a nice look at what Peloton has done to foster the Black community embracing Peloton in the way that they have. And so it just talks about how they've had specially curated classes, and they reach out to that community instead of having, 4 white guys in a boardroom say, I wonder what Black folks might like. They actually reach out to that community and have them do that. And so it actually is reflective of that community instead of just being kind of crafted for them. And it just talks all about how they've how good they've been at doing that.
Well, they're really good about that because they also, they have all these hashtags now. And so Peloton often during these classes will shout out hashtags of classes that are happening that are related. So like during Black History Month, for example, whenever they were doing that, they would shout out hashtags like the Black Girl Magic Tribe. And they do that for across the board for different classes. So, for example, if they're having a special Veterans Day class, they'll shout out the hashtags for veterans. So they try to be inclusive in a lot of different ways. And I think that's really nice that Peloton has been consistent with their efforts. And I think it's wonderful that it's getting noticed in the greater area, not just in the Peloton community. It's happening outside of the Peloton community. That's really cool.
Yeah. And this whole opinion article was basically like other people in our industry need to look to what they're doing as a model for how to do it more effectively.
Love that message. It's true.
GoldDerby.com has an article where they predict or give you the odds on who they think will win Dancing with the Stars.
Yep.
Who did they predict?
Well, they think that Suni Lin is going to win.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I said Suni Lin. It's Suni Lee. My bad.
Sorry.
And then if you go down to where they have the odds, you will see that Cody Rigsby is in the top 5. There's Suni Lee, Jojo Siwa, Mel C, and then Cody Rigsby comes in at number 4.
Wow.
Odds 13-2. So you can see the rest of it whenever Tom sends out the newsletter. But I think this will be very interesting. A lot of people are saying that Cody is going to win. So
yeah, I mean, if they already have him that high, if he comes in and does well and uses this platform to create new fans, that could flip really quick.
I have no doubt that he will. He has a huge personality.
Bustle.com has an interesting article. I just never thought I'd see the day that we talk about Peloton getting more and more mainstream, but like I didn't think we'd get to this point. 7 ways to dress up like your favorite Peloton instructor.
Well, I have
for
news
Halloween.
for you. I have news for you, Tom. People have been dressing up for Peloton instructors for years.
Yeah, but now people actually know who they are.
They do. And it's an article written with the ideas telling you how to go about doing it. So
John Mills has been doing this forever. We don't.
Yes.
Like, their Bustle's a little, they need to put a little hustle in their Bustle because John Mills has been doing this for a long time.
They probably stole the idea from him.
Probably. Reuters has an article about how Peloton rides into the corporate law firm wellness market. So I guess they've signed up more companies.
They have,
like United Healthcare.
So it's O'Melveny and Myers. They're the first law firm that is hitting the ground running with Peloton's new corporate wellness. So that's awesome.
There's a little something out there, throwing a little something out there for all the HR directors. So thanks for listening. That one's for you. Biz Journals has an interesting little article. Triad site 2 Chatham mega sites were under consideration for Peloton's 2,100 person job manufacturing facility. So they, I guess, were sniffing around North Carolina looking for a manufacturing
They
plant.
were looking at a lot of places.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting that it's starting to come out where all the places were. I think there's some places that are a little salty. They didn't get it.
Sure. I mean, it's like the same thing when Amazon was opening distribution facilities and people, all these companies just kowtowing to them trying to get that all those jobs sent there.
It's tough. While Tom is pulling this up, Wednesday, September 22nd at 12:25 p.m. Eastern, there will be a there will be a Goldman Sachs Communacopia Conference, and attending that will be John Foley.
And that will stream over on One Peloton's website.
It will.
Financial Post has an article about Peloton shoots to become the biggest fitness brand in the world. They sat down with Peloton president William Lynch.
Well, I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take, but to be official.
Yeah.
I mean, just what we were just talking about with Apple, they're not, because it depends on how you define it.
Right.
Are you
What's
defining
your
it by
metric?
Subscribers? Are you defining it by dollars? Are you defining it by being public? I mean, there's so many different ways you can define it, but they will win. They will win.
Well, especially in terms of like when people think fitness, I don't think they think Apple. Like it's baked in and it's there, but people go to Apple because they want a phone or a computer. They don't go to Apple.
It's an add-on.
Right.
It's an afterthought, not the main driver.
Yes. And then finally for this segment, Yahoo had an article breaking down the best 2000s themed Peloton rides. That's difficult to say. So if you want classes with Britney or I'm forgetting the name.
Beyonce?
I was trying to come up with the name of the lady that's
Evanescence?
Is that who that was?
I have no idea who that girl is.
I thought it was the lady that sang Skater Boy, but I think it might be
Avril Lavigne?
There we go.
I don't know who that is over on the right, but whoever it is, I don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's an old picture of Amy Lee. But, it was from 2000, so there you go. But anyway, it's out there. If you want to check it out, it'll be in your newsletter.
Yes.
The Clip Out.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube from MetPro, it's Angelo. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, guys. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, too. We have another question for you from the Clip Out community. This one comes from Stacy Revere, and she would like to know, does alcohol affect your body or diet more than just the added calories, sugar, or carbs?
Wow. An answer that's not going to be depends. Man. Stacy, the answer is yes. It affects your body more. Yep, absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us. Oh, we were done. Sorry.
And I'm out. Yeah. I dropped. So unfortunately, I know that is not the answer that most people were hoping for, but there's a few unique qualities about alcohol that really, unfortunately, make it horrible for weight loss. So let's cut through that. So because a lot of people enjoy a glass of wine or a beverage from time to time, and it is not impossible. Even a lot of my clients, I tell them, hey, don't drink alcohol. And they say, hey, go jump off a bridge. And so we find a compromise.
Weed.
Right? So
he glosses right over
he's
that.
Like, moving right along.
No. Going to pretend the audio cut out.
Move right forward, Tom. So the key is to understand that not all alcohols are equal, and they are going to affect you a little bit differently. So when it does come to the calorie, sugar, et cetera scenario, so in a gram of protein and a gram of carbohydrates, there's 4 calories. A gram of fat is 9 calories. A gram of alcohol is 7 calories. So this is a little bit tongue in cheek, but I tell people it's not as bad as drinking a glass of lard, but almost. It doesn't work quite like that. Because you're not drinking straight alcohol. If you have an entire glass of that, then you need to be driven to the hospital.
You've got bigger problems than your
bigger problems
than the scale. Yeah.
So what we're looking for is, ironically, what goes in the alcohol, and unfortunately, painfully, the time that you're drinking alcohol. Can I just have a little bit of champagne? Sure, if you have it with breakfast, because then you'll have time to burn that off. Nobody wants to drink champagne with breakfast.
Mimosas.
Well, that's true. I stand corrected. Tom has corrected me.
I would do a Bellini first thing in the morning.
There we go. So most people are talking about having some alcohol in the evening, and they're winding down. And unfortunately, that creates a double threat. First, a triple threat. You're getting the calories, then you're getting all the hormonal and biological responses to the alcohol, but then you're also getting it at a time of day that undermines, not eliminates, but undermines some of the efficacy of attempting to partition your carbohydrates. So a lot of people on a weight loss strategy will thin the carbs out back half of the day. And there's a whole lot of science to that and why we might take that approach. It doesn't have to be done that way. It's just one approach. But having that infusion of either sugars, carbohydrates, and or alcohol at night right before bed makes it difficult for your body to get into that fat burning zone in the middle of the night. Not impossible, makes it a little harder. So it gently undermines that. So there's a few things that lead up to it. Now, with that, not all alcohols are created equal. So starting with the worst of the worst is going to be kind of your mixed drinks, kind of the frou-frou drinks, the ones I actually like.
Those are so Tom's favorite too.
the margaritas, the pina coladas, so now, I mean, now you have the trifecta of body fat, unfortunately, because you have the alcohol, the sugar, and the salt. So if you want to see how to wake up to 3 extra pounds of you, that's it.
If only there was a way to deep fry one of those drinks.
Right, put some chocolate in it, just check out and be done.
I think we've just made the perfect food.
Yes.
That's it. And again, so have that stuff. If you enjoy it, just have that occasionally. Put it on the calendar, have it on a special occasion. Don't let that be your go-to if you also have goals of weight loss. So the second tier is going to be your beers and your wines. And yes, I know there's research, a little bit of wine can be good, have some health properties. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, I'm trying to lose the last 5 pounds. Don't add a glass of wine to bed right before you go to bed at night. It's not going to work. So when it comes to those nuances, it definitely can impact. We know the impacts of the beer. That seems to pack it on pretty fast. Then the tier below that is going to be, well, you kind of have your quote unquote diet beers, your lines that are the lower calorie, lower carb alcoholic beverages. And then just basically your straight hard alcohol, particularly the clear hard alcohols, tend to be the least impactful. They're still not helping. Now, that isn't a scale to measure health or wellness. Like, oh, Angela said, go drink hard alcohol every night before bed. No, that might have the opposite effect on your wellness. But from a body fat accumulation to beverage imbibed ratio, that's probably going to be your best bang for your buck as far as optimizing cleaner alcohols, either your lower calorie alcohols, or it's going to be your clear hard alcohols in small amounts. And you can mix it with a low calorie or non-calorie containing beverage. And that typically works pretty well for some people. So again, it's not a matter of never, it's a matter of, and what if you say, well, I have a little bit each night. Well, it's better than having a lot each night, right? And if you're drinking every night and you go, well, hey, now I'm just going to drink Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's going to be improvement. So find those small steps where you can grab onto something that's sustainable. Remember, there are a few things that humans get more pleasure from than good food and drink. So you should have something you enjoy, whether it's alcohol or any other indulgence. Occasionally, just don't let it be your every meal routine. That's the key.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. So if people would like this sort of information personalized for them so they can use it to achieve their own fitness goals, where can they find you?
metpro.co/TCO.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Instructors in the news.
So if you're looking to keep tabs on all the new instructors, they all have Facebook groups.
They do. Well, I haven't found one for Callie Gullickson. I don't know that she doesn't have one. I haven't found one.
Gotcha.
But the newest instructors that started a couple weeks ago, Marcel Dinkins, she has one. It's called Marcel Dinkins Peloton Fan Group.
Okay.
Then there's Daniel McKenna. You can find his under Daniel's Irish Yanks.
Okay.
And then let's see, Kirsten Ferguson. Hers is called Queen K's Peloton Click. And Queen is spelled with a K because of Kirsten. And so you will want to look under all the Ks. If you're looking for any of these, by the way, they'll be in the newsletter. Look there. Then we have Bradley Rose Rebels. And like I said, I couldn't find one for Callie. And the two newest instructors that just started, Jeremiah and Susie Chan, that we don't have groups for them yet. I'm sure it will not be long.
Yeah, and as soon as we get them, we will share them with you.
Yep.
Verywellmind.com talked to Allie Love.
Yep. So that's a podcast for those of you who don't know. And the topic on the podcast is how to choose progress over perfection. So you can find that at verywellmind.com. Earlier, I said one of the new instructors' name was Jeremiah, and it is not. It is definitely Jermaine. Jermaine Johnson. My bad.
You were thinking of the Robert Redford film, Jeremiah Johnson.
Yeah.
Which makes this probably a good time to share his new video.
That it does. Jermaine Johnson, he had his premiere run today. It was live. And they did a video. They always do these videos. I love these videos. But I heard a lot of people saying that if you are from London, it is very emotional to watch because it's scenes of London in the background. So that's pretty cool. And he not only has a great voice and a great accent, but what a great instructor. So we haven't gotten Susie Chan's video, and we won't probably be able to add it because it probably won't post until after we've already sent all this off. So we'll have to show that next week, but it's very cool. So many new instructors.
Google Nest has a new ad showing what pets do at home when you're not there. But that's not why we're sharing this article with you.
It's not. You'll have to go to the website and check it out. But there are 5 videos that are voiced by influencers, and one of them is Alex Toussaint. So I challenge you to go out to this website and find the ad that Alex voiced.
Adrienne Williams was on the Hurdle podcast with Emily Abate. I think I'm saying that right.
I think so. And this is a real popular one with Peloton listeners. I'm sure that's why they chose it.
Yeah.
But for those of you who haven't had a chance to run with Adrian, he's a really great coach. And this is a good time to hear kind of his backstory and where he came from. So definitely check it out. Episode 175 of Hurdle.
And then while we're talking about podcasts, Robin Arzon was on Meditative Story.
Yeah. Okay. So I listened to this one. It's very different. Very different. It when they say meditative story, they mean that literally.
Okay.
Robin tells the story of her very first ultra marathon where she did 100 miles. Oof. It was in Florida, in the Florida Keys. She went from the Upper Keys to the Lower Keys.
To Montana.
No.
Okay.
Upper Keys to the Lower Keys in Florida. And her whole family was there. But she tells it, and she tells the story, and then there's like this meditative music playing, and then she talks about how she got through it on the mantras she told herself. And then the host will tell you how to use them while you're listening, like how you can take those different mantras and like apply them in your everyday life. So it was a very interesting little podcast.
Yeah, it's different.
Very different.
And then while we're talking about Robin, she's going to be the keynote speaker at Poderistas.
I think it's Poderistas.
Okay.
Because I believe Poder means power in Spanish.
We have a podcast.
Yes.
So I was trying to make that about
I did the same thing. I kept looking at it and I was like, I don't know about this, but it's the name of it is called Poder in Action. So I believe it's Poderistas, and so Poweristas. And so she's going to be kicking it off, the Latinas Making a Difference Summit. So that is super cool and perfect timing, obviously, since it is Latin Heritage Month.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome.
And speaking of Latin Heritage Month, Self.com sat down with Jess King to talk to her about what she draws from her Latina culture to push forward.
Yeah, and so they also have advice for Latin folks who are just getting started with their fitness journey. So definitely check out that article. And when we send out the newsletter this week, it will be in it. Also, while we're on the subject of Jess King, I've had about 1 billion people message me this week, all saying, what is the deal with all the instructors? Do you say Mykonos? Is that the name of the city? Mykonos? MYKO?
Works for me.
Well, at any rate, there's a ton of instructors over there. We've got RK, Jess King. Jess King is there with Sophie, her fiance. And then DJ John Michael is there with Brian. And then, let's see, Andy Spear is there. Adrienne Williams is there. And so everyone's like, oh my God, is Jess King getting married this weekend? No, she's not. They all have a friend named Mona who is getting married. And so they're all over there. And so they have been like posting stories non-freaking stop of, I guess it's just a new thing where we have 2-week-long weddings now. I guess that's just a thing.
I guess so.
I don't know. I'm not young and getting married, so.
And don't worry, when Jess King gets married, you'll know because it'll be in People.
Yeah, exactly,
That's
guys.
how it works now.
Exactly.
Come on. And then coming from the other side of the pond, as they say, Stylist has an article about Zen Buddhist cones transform your meditation practice. Here's how to use them.
Yes, and Sam Yo contributed to this article, and he's obviously a former Buddhist monk, so he knows things. But he talks about how these cones are helpful. So he gives advice in this article. Definitely want to give that a look. That'll be in the newsletter that Tom sends out as well.
And then finally, new instructor Daniel McKenna and Chase Tucker.
Not a new instructor.
Not a new instructor, but still a country music superstar, had a video that they made together.
I loved this. So they went to, I can't ever remember the name of this place, but it's in New York City. It's very famous. There's pictures taken all the time. It's right outside Hudson Yards. Like it's in the same area. But they went over and they did a workout right in the middle of like the area in front of this really cool building that looks like a beehive.
Yeah.
And then Daniel McKenna also had like at one point a GoPro like strapped to his head. So it was like they were taking footage from all different angles. But they just did the workout right out in the middle. Just because they could. So a lot of fun. This Daniel McKenna guy, he has a lot of energy and a lot of what is the word? Huge personality. I think I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot from him. A lot. I predict it.
Peloton artist collaboration.
We have a new artist collaboration, and it is with Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, and Peloton timed this so that it would be the same. It kicked off the same time as the new studio opening over in London. Mm-hmm. So this is primarily a London. They kind of see it as a London artist, a UK artist.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, but it's interesting because there were so many of them. There were 8 different classes, and it's been a while since we've had one of these artist series that have had like so many options. There were 2 or 3 rides,
right,
and multiple strength classes, multiple stretches, tons of options for people. So if you haven't yet, make sure you check these out. I love Ed Sheeran.
And Peloton is also commemorating Latin Heritage Month.
They are. So all month, you're going to be seeing all kinds of Latin-inspired classes.
Like Ed Sheeran. No, not like Ed Sheeran.
No. And there's going to be yoga flows and there's going to be special classes. So just keep an eye out for all the cool stuff that is coming. And you never know. Maybe they're going to launch some more Spanish classes or something. That would be very cool because I know there's more coming. So that would be very cool if they did that this month.
It would be good timing.
It would.
Peloton birthdays.
And then finally, and it's been a long one.
Imagine putting it all together, guys.
I know. It's a good thing I've been working out. I wouldn't have the stamina to do this. We'd have to record it over a few days. I would need naps and electrolytes and things of that nature. Happy birthday to Anna Greenberg. She celebrates a birthday on September 18th.
And make sure you say happy birthday to Robin Arzan on September 20th. The new mom is going to celebrate her birthday. I wonder what Athena's going to get her.
Oh, I hope for her husband's sake he thought to do that.
I'm sure he did. He's too in the public eye to not.
Is that how it works?
Yes, I do. I do think it is.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Claire Werner. Hey, Claire, how's it going?
Well, how are you all doing? Excited to be here.
I can't help but notice we're one question in and she ducked it.
I know. She's like, I'm high.
I'm good.
It's going to be one of those. Here we go.
Yes, I am well. Thank you. Thank you for having me on this podcast today.
Okay, Claire, I'm going to start with an easy question.
Okay.
How did you originally come across Peloton and when?
So interestingly enough, and I can't remember the year, my husband's old job, they were one of the investors prior to the IPO.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So I knew about Peloton like a long time ago. And I remember my husband telling me that, it's this concept and you ride in your house and it's for busy. He kept saying, he's like, it's for busy people, for people who work a lot so that they can exercise anytime. They can jump on it and they can go and get classes. And I was working out at like a privately owned spin studio. And I remember saying to him, I was like, well, isn't the best part of the spin class, like the camaraderie and being in the room, all things now that in hindsight just like skeeve you out, like the high fives and the, being like this close to somebody and like feeling, and like all of that.
Snapping sweat towels.
Yeah.
Yes, like having,
heavy breathing in a closed room.
and if you saw this spin studio where I used to go, I mean, it was maybe, I can't even, it's the size of a large closet. I mean, they had 22 bikes. It was this little teeny tiny, I mean, it was privately owned. It was this little teeny tiny space. It was in the back of a boutique, and they had this little like space made. And I don't even think they soundproofed the walls or anything, because if you were in the boutique and they were having class, you could hear everything. And
Marketing.
Yeah,
I knew it was there.
And it was in like the back, like you had to know that it was back there.
It's like a secret.
It would kind of was
spin club.
It's a speakeasy of spin clubs.
It was the first rule: don't talk about spin club. I mean, what? But but I remember thinking like, oh well, the camaraderie is the driving force, or the workout, and then all of these people that you get to meet and all in this group of friends that you make. And sort of fast forward, that place closed. Shock. That place closed. And we ended up moving. We were in Virginia and we moved to Atlanta. And I remember coming here, and my best friend at that time had a Peloton. Her husband had gotten her one. And I think that he got her one in maybe 2018. We moved in 2019. And I remember her saying to me, you got to get a Peloton now. Now that you've moved, you got to get a Peloton. You got to get a Peloton. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, I'd love to get a Peloton, but at the same time, I just moved to a brand new city and I know nobody. So should I be working out in my house?
I should go meet people.
Yeah, I had quit my job. I had quit my job. I mean, like we were trying to get the kids settled in and everything. So I wasn't working at the time. And I was like, well, all right. I was like, so I joined a gym and I went to a couple, privately owned privately owned studios with spin classes here that were great. And I wasn't doing it regularly. And my husband one day randomly walks in the house with a Peloton bike. He had found, and either on Facebook Marketplace or Nextdoor, a woman, a pastor at a church who was like 60 something years old. Her kids had bought this was February. Her kids had bought it for her for Christmas. So this was February 2020. Her kids had bought it for her Christmas 2019. And she rode it 5 times. I didn't want it. And she was just like, I want this out of my house. And so my husband saw it, he bought it from her and brought it home and wheeled it in if I'm pointing, but he like his garage is over here. He literally wheels it in the house, wheels in this Peloton. And I'm just like, what is this? And he's like, well, I know you like to do this, and then you don't do it as much as you normally have. Because when I was going to the studio, I was going all the time. When I was going 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I still belonged to a gym at that time. That was February. So that was February 2020. And then everything, went to hell in a handbasket March 2020. And then I was like, well, thank goodness I have this Peloton.
Yeah. So that kind of saved your butt.
I'm telling you, the timing, it was like the universe kind of just cranked it in my favor and was just like, here you go. And
wow.
Yeah. And I was like, this is fantastic. So slowly but surely I started, writing it, and then being in the house every day, I started writing it every day.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, we're here all day long, all together.
Let's break up the day.
Or not have to do homeschool, because I'm on the Peloton, I'm not helping with homeschool. Yeah, I mean, it was a real reality. So it was kind of like, all right. And so that was, so pretty much I've been riding since February 2020, but I had been doing indoor cycling for a while prior to that.
So now, do you feel like you ride more now than you did when you were going on a regular basis?
Yes.
You were going 4 to 5 times a week. That's a good amount for most people.
Yeah. So yeah. And a lot of it there was extremely social. I mean, think about it. If you're in a room with 22 bikes, you get to know these people really well. But like the regulars and all the instructors. I mean, it was a group of people. So a big driver there was social. It was.
See, I'm the opposite. Like you say that, but like I'm the person in the room that doesn't talk to anybody. Like I'm just like
normally I would be.
I'm just
normally I would be, but given the way this was all set up, it was sort of like if you started going there on a regular basis, there were people who were regulars and they were just like, you know, who are you? You come here a lot. We should, you know, you need to like know all the other regulars. And it was kind of like Cheers. It was weird. It was like, hey, when you walk in the room. I mean, like it got to the point toward the end where like, if there were too many new people, like the instructors would let a couple of us like help size people up for bikes.
Aww.
Like new riders, they would let us like go in and because they were like, well, you know what you're doing. So just help this person get on their bike and you know, get the shoes on and everything. But I definitely ride it more now because I mean, it is so nice to be able to just like go down to my basement and hop on my bike at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 6 o'clock in the morning or when, you know, whenever. So that part's nice.
I definitely think it's amazing to have that ability, and you don't have to get there early to get a good bike. It's always a good spot.
I know. That's true. That's true. And it got, you know, my very best friend and I, we used to joke that we were like, you know, in the Muppets, you know, there's like 2 old men that used to sit up in the balcony.
Yeah.
Statler and Waldorf.
Okay. So we used to joke because we would sit in the corner together and we had on the same 2 bikes every time. And so we always used to joke that it was like the 2 of us were in the corner and like when someone sat in our seat, we were like, who is it?
All right, did you guys heckle everybody too as they came in? Did you guys heckle?
No, but we like everybody knew we were there, and it was like if there was a new instructor, it was like they knew we were there, and it was very odd. It was funny. I mean, she and I were just it was very. I mean, it was funny to us. I mean, we were always nice about it. We weren't, but it was just kind of like we were always like this, you know.
Do you ever have to kick anybody out? Where you're like, tap off my bike.
No, I didn't do that. I didn't want to be that person.
Thank you for not being that
person.
No.
Like, I mean, I would, you know, afterwards it would be just kind of like, I can't believe that person was sitting on my bike. Like they were supposed to know. Like they were supposed to know that was my bike. But a lot of the people who would come regularly knew, and it was like it'd be odd. Like you'd be like those bikes would just be sitting there like vacant for us when we knew we were coming.
So how did you go from? It's just funny to me. You went from not having a Peloton to having a Peloton, riding it all the time. And then at some point you started a blog about Peloton, about your rides. How did that come about?
I like exercising. I always say like it keeps the rage away. It keeps like everything like nice
bubbling.
And calm. So yes, like, and especially in something like this pandemic where nobody knew what the heck was going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I would ride a lot, and it got to where like a bunch of the girls, like, so people, so I knew people who started getting bikes, and people would reach out to me, and because my husband would be like, oh, my wife loves to cycle. She's on that Peloton all the time, whatever. And people would reach out to me and they would be like, what classes do you like? What classes are you doing? What are you doing? And I would be like, well, what do you like? And when you get a Peloton, especially with the way Peloton has cranked up, and they've just exploded, and there's, you know, now it's like nobody doesn't have a Peloton. I say it's like a concierge. I wish there was like concierge for Peloton. Does that sound weird?
That would like help you decide like.
Well, I found that there was, and I'm not explaining this well, so excuse me about this, but there was no way for people, like when you would go into a new spin studio, you know, there was interaction with the instructor, there was interaction with other riders, and you could sort of pick somebody's brain, like, oh, you should come back on, you know, this day because this person teaches that and we really like them, or, you know, if you like this kind of class, this is the person you should ride with, but, oh, you know, maybe you should avoid this person. And with the ramp up of Peloton, I find that there isn't a lot of that. Or you go to these message boards where somebody throws that softball out there, like, I got my Peloton, what should I do? And they get like 500 answers. And I was like, if that were me, that would stress me out. it stressed me out. So like and do you read, how many do you read? Do you read the first 20? And
that's why my advice is always try everybody. You need to just try everybody.
and that's true. But it's also, I also found that it was like, you'd read some of these comments and it'd be like, the person would be like, I'm brand new. I've never done a cycling class. And someone would be like, you should take a class with Kendall. And it was like, are you joking? This person should not take a class with Kendall. And, it's, if you're starting out, don't set, I always think that, people want to keep doing it if they feel successful at it. So if you have a place to start, then you can kind of say, you can work towards, and that's not to say that if you're a beginner, you shouldn't ride with Kendall, but I'm just
like some of her rides, like her metal rides.
Some of her rides are insane.
They're intense. They're intense. And so you're just saying that like not everybody should go straight to a Kendall metal ride day one, for example.
And you'd see somebody who would comment with that, like, oh, I just took her metal ride and I loved it. And it was like, well, that worked for you. Do you know if that will work for this person? So I was just like, well, you know what I'm going to do? People constantly ask me what I'm doing, what I'm riding. I'm just going to start. I would talk about it all the time. And my husband was like, why do you talk about this all the time? You talk about this all the time.
I'm familiar.
This sounds very familiar.
And he dared me because he kept saying, you should write a blog, you should write. And I'm like, the internet, people are so mean on the internet. I was like, I don't want to deal with the internet people.
True story.
And yes, and so I was like, I don't want to deal with it. And finally, I remember him saying, he's like, I bet you by May 1st, you won't do this.
Like, wow, he knows how to work your buttons.
Well, and then I went to Substack. So Substack, which is what it's on, is more like a newsletter than a straight out blog. So I was like, well, it keeps the audience a little bit more niche and a little smaller. So it's like baby steps, kind of like wading into the waters of, writing.
You don't want to start with like a Kindle level blog post.
Yes.
You gotta,
Tom, thank goodness you're here.
You want to do like a Hannah Corbin beginner ride. And that's what you wanted to do, a Hannah Corbin beginner post.
Yeah. So I was sort of like weeding my way in. And then I was like, I'm just going to write about what I do, what I like, and sort of sprinkle in little nuggets about cycling and indoor cycling, not like road biking. My husband does that. I do not do that, but just little nuggets of things that I think that sometimes are good to hear. Sometimes it's not bad to hear that you shouldn't be putting your back in when you pedal.
Yeah.
And, because when you start, or at least I found when I started, I wanted to live in absolutes. Like if the instructor said 2 cranks, I wanted to do 2 cranks. If they said do this, I wanted to do this. And there were times where I was like, where my body was like, no, please stop. And I was like, what? No. And then the other part of me, like the angel and the devil were going, it's like, no, but this is what she said to do. And
no ego, amigo.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I would love it if someone had just said to me, if you want to ride at, X cadence, just find a resistance that matches that. Don't necessarily feel like you have to ride in the resistance range that the instructor prescribes. Some instructors prescribe really narrow resistance ranges. Some prescribe really wide ones. You don't feel like this is like a be all end all.
So you wanted to be able to give people that advice, but while also kind of showcasing the rides that you were taking.
Yes. That's you explained it very well. I guess you explained. Thank goodness you're here. That you explained it better than I did.
You're funny. So then, like, when you talk about classes that you take, what are you including? Like, what kind of details are you putting in the post?
So this is going to sound, I don't know, this is going to sound crazy. So when I ride, I take like little shorthand notes, which I tried to do on my phone and I tried to do on voice, but everything, I could not do it electronically because my fingers were slipping. And if I tried to do it with like the voice thing, it was like the instructor's voice was on there and then my voice. I was like, oh God, this is so messy. So I keep a pen and paper next to the bike and I just jot down notes during the ride, like things that I don't like oh, I want to remember this. I want to remember this. And then I sort of just write the highlights. Like yeah.
But when you say highlights, like, are you including like the layout of the class? Are you including? Yes. Okay.
It started with what was said was a 10-minute warm up, but it was actually only a true 4-minute warm up. And then, the other 6 minutes were spent sort of upping cadence and doing, sprinkling in little pieces of, things you're supposed to do during class or more work rather than, because I think of warming up as just sitting and pedaling. I don't think of it as increasing cadence that's just the way I think about it. And then, and then we go right into a hill, or then we go right and I kind of will just sort of map it out a little bit. So if you read it and you think this class sounds awesome, I'd love to take it. Or if it's like, oh, this class sounds like no way, Jose,
And are you also like highlighting the music? Are you highlighting like,
yes.
Like if they have some funny quotes or stories that they're telling, are you including that as well in your highlights?
I try, but at the same time, like certain things I like to include, like I'll definitely highlight if I loved or hated the music. That I will usually say, because I'll say like, to take this class for the playlist alone. Like this class is, this class, you might not be in your wheelhouse, but this class has an awesome playlist. Put this class on, just crank down your resistance and just ride. If you will not regret riding this, like all this music. Like speaking of Kendall did one that I wrote, I think last week. It was a 2000s ride or 90s ride? It was a pop ride last week. That the one where I don't know if you took this ride, the one where she talks about how her mom used to make them listen to Cher before they could jump into the pool.
Yeah. I did take that.
That I loved. I thought the playlist in that class was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you just ride it for the playlist.
Yeah, it was like California vibe summer music. Yeah, it was great.
That was and I mean, just the music was so good. So sometimes things that you'll look at and you'll say, oh, this is not for me. It's like, oh, well, maybe it is. And a lot of times I look at those difficulty ratings and I'll say, you saw this difficulty rating, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that difficult. But some of the stories and some of the funny things, sometimes I'll tell, like I'll glaze over it or kind of like give like a broad generalization, because some of it is interesting to hear the first time. Mm-hmm. Like I know, like some of the things that Cody says hit me, and I die. And I think to myself, I don't want to ruin that for anyone else. Right. I don't want them to not be able to get that, hear that, and be like, oh, he's crazy.
That's why I was wondering, because people, if they come looking for the blog, they kind of have to have an idea of what to expect, like, are they, because it's kind of like the difference between like what Tom does with his movie podcast, where they like, it's spoilers. Like that's the whole point. If you have not watched the movie, you need to know that going in, so it sounds like your blog has like details such as the layout of the class and like highlights about the music, but it's not going to ruin the experience for you. It's not going to spoil big things that are happening within the class.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like I mean, to me, knowing what's going to happen, like if there's if there's going to be 2 hills and hit section, I don't necessarily think. I mean, I guess if somebody feels like it's a spoiler, then
no. I know.
But I'm saying, like, definitely if you're like, I want to take this class and I don't want it ruined. I mean,
then that's not for you.
Or hop past that one, because I sort of lay them out like a diary.
Yes.
And so it's where it's kind of like, oh, so if that one was not, I was like, oh, well then just move on to the next. But definitely, I think I took that Hidden Hills ride that Robin did recently, and where she talks about the story about how she got her start at Peloton. And I thought that was so inspiring, and how amazing she is, or was even pre-Peloton. Peloton, she was always that girl. And so I said, listen, I think I wrote, hearing the story of how Robin got her start at Peloton is, inspiring or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And so
but
it wasn't telling the story.
Right. You didn't lay it out in detail. That's great. So because then people can kind of get their own feedback, and they are prepared for that. They're excited. They're looking forward to it, but they don't have everything given to them. Do you get feedback from people like, I want you to add more of this, I want you to take out this? Do you hear from people with that kind of thing?
I was gonna say, well, my husband. And my husband,
we don't count.
He has opinions. And I get like, it's not, I've only been doing it. I mean, I feel like I've only been doing it a short time, probably only 4 months. So, a lot of the people who read it, I know, so they will not necessarily comment on the blog. They'll send me a message.
They come to you. They come to you.
Yes. And they'll say, definitely do, take this, if you haven't tried this one, you should definitely highlight this ride. This ride was awesome. This, so that's nice. It's nice to see that it either helps somebody or it's at least enjoyable for somebody to read.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
It's a lot of work. I mean, you'd be surprised. Yeah.
We would not be surprised.
No, we would not.
We would not be surprised.
I guess I'm in good company when it comes to that stuff. But it's a strangely large amount of work that I pieced together. So
but it's also is it, I bet it's rewarding though.
It's rewarding in the sense that, so when we left Virginia and I quit my job in Virginia and we moved to Atlanta, my husband and I sort of agreed that we're going to get the kids settled and everything, and then we'll let a year go by, and then I'll start thinking about what I'm going to do. And then the pandemic hit, and it was kind of like, well, we don't know what's going to happen, and we don't know if they're going to be in school or not in school or whatever. So it was like, is this the right time to even do it? If there's so much change, should we change anything else? But I found myself wanting something of my own. And I know a lot of women and men, I guess, people who end up being the stay-at-home caretaker or the person who is not the superstar or in the home, wanting something of their own. And I was looking for something of my own. And I think that's why he kept pushing me to do it, because he's like, look, if nothing else, you feel like you have something of your own. You have something that is yours, that you do, that you have a product that you feel, proud of. And and it really has provided that for me. And I am grateful for that. Because I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends who say they have the same thing, like you can only do so much volunteer work at school. And now you can't even do that because it's COVID.
Right.
Yeah. So is it just bike classes or do you do other things?
Well, I usually do bike boot camp, and I try to do more strength. The strength or the HIIT cardio. I'm not much of a yoga person. I should do more. We don't have a tread because when I finally convinced my husband to get a tread, they recalled the tread.
Oh.
So now he's like, because he's discovered Adrian Williams, and he was like, I really want to get a tread. And I was like, where were you a year ago?
Right.
Or where was this person a year ago? So hopefully once that starts back in production, we can get a tread, and then I can add tread classes to it. But I always say that like the bike boot camp is like I feel like not enough people do it. And I'm always like, nobody, I have one friend I know who does it, and that's it.
Oh, your like, the bike boot camps?
The bike boot camp.
I've only done a couple. Great. Yeah, I've only done a couple.
Them.
They just don't really fit in because I don't do boot camps that often because we have a Tonal, number one. Yeah. And two, when I do boot camps, I do them on the treadmill because I really enjoy the running.
Way to rub it in.
I know. Sorry.
Well, no, and that makes more sense. The running, the tread boot camps definitely make more sense because there's no changing your shoes.
Right.
It's definitely flows better together. And for bike boot camp, you definitely have to sort of prepare yourself that the flow is weird. It is very strange, and it's not like the first time I did it. I've written about it. First time I did it, I hated it. I thought I was like, why did they bring this on the platform? This is terrible. And I was like, I can't see my screen. This is not for me. And my one friend who does them, she's like, no, keep trying it. And I love them. So I did one today.
So I guess that means the bike you got was a regular bike, not a Bike Plus.
It is.
Okay.
I got it. My bike was, it was a Gen 3. Because it was purchased December or November 2019.
Okay.
So yes, literally right before the Plus came out. That was also, I mean, like, I'm really like, I'm for getting the bike right before the pandemic, I've like lost out on everything else. You know?
But that is the most important thing, to have a bike, not a Bike Plus.
Yes, yes.
I love the Bike Plus, but it's like, I would be just as happy, honestly, with my original bike that I had. I loved my bike. So
now I find that out. Why am I just down here?
We sent that bike to a good home, to a nurse that needed it.
We did.
And we got most of our money back out of it after having it for 4 years. So I think we did great.
We did good. So how often
people are paying up?
They really were, especially at the peak of the pandemic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how often do you update your blog?
Twice a week.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
So I try to, my schedule I try to keep is Wednesdays and Saturdays. Sometimes it becomes Thursdays and Sundays. Sometimes it's Wednesday and Sunday. I try to do 4 in one, and then like 4 days in one and 3 days in the other. And try to divide it up that way. Just so it's not so long where people are like, this is a lot. And, you know, where it's something. And then I guess maybe I've read or I've seen that if you're going to do content like that, you're supposed to sort of keep it coming so people keep wanting to come back to read. So, I mean, I'm trying at least. And it makes me feel good. It's something for me.
Yeah. I think that's the important thing. Like if you're getting fulfillment out of it, that's what makes a difference.
Absolutely.
And because if you're just doing it to create an audience, I think people sense that.
Oh, people do sense that.
And then you don't create
shallow.
one. It's
you feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it. I mean, it's like we would not still be doing this podcast if the only reason we started this podcast was to have lots of people listen to it. Like, that would not have been the thing, because I mean, it grew, but it grew slowly over time, a long time. So it's not, you know what I mean? Like it's, and I just feel like there's lots of people that start things that you can just tell they started to make money. They started to, just to get an audience. You can just feel it. So it's great that that's important to you. It comes through.
I think it's that passion that will eventually draw the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope so.
What's that?
I hope so.
Yeah, totally. So did I miss it? Did we say the name of the blog?
We did not.
Okay.
Tell everybody the name of the blog and where they can find it.
It's Who, What, Ride, When.
Who, What, Ride, When. Okay.
Who, What, Ride, When. And that's something that just kind of came to me. I don't know why. And like my husband was like, how did you come up with that? And I'm like, I really don't know. I just
popped into your head.
I was thinking about like, what am I trying to do here? So I was like, well, this seems to go together. And it was really weird because I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I have to name this. And that's the hardest part. So if I can't name it, I can't get started. And so I'm thinking to myself, shit, I got to name this thing. And then that ended up coming to me, oddly enough. And it's on Substack. And if you go to Substack and you search Who, What, Ride, When, it'll come up, or it's clairewerner.substack.com.
Awesome.
And while we're talking about names, what is your leaderboard name?
Oh, it's Claire Spins ATL.
In Atlanta. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. I think I know how you came up with it. I feel
and my husband had a different leaderboard name, and then he saw mine and liked it, and he changed his to his name, Spins ATL. And I was like, now we're those people. now we're those people. We're the like, shared Facebook page, and we're these people now. And I was like, I told him, I was like, please don't do that. And he's like, well, I like it. I'm going to change it. And he changed it.
Well, I guess as long as you're not sharing a Facebook page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I see that, I'm always like, which one of you messed up?
I know. That's what I always think too.
That's true. No, it's like who's watching who?
Right.
Yeah.
There's a story there.
Yeah. The story they don't want to share.
Yeah.
But yet in an odd way, they kind of did.
It's surprising the things that people will share on the internet or share and don't realize they're sharing. Like something like that, where it's kind of like, you all know we know, right? That part where I'm kind of like, yeah, all right, and then people freely share things too, which I'm blown away by. Everything.
I am often surprised why especially in the Peloton groups, like some of the groups that are out there, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
Anybody can screenshot that, right?
Well, there's always that one sane person who comes into the comments and goes, you realize that your entire profile is public, and that I can see your name, and I can see your husband's name, and I can see all your kids' names and where you live. And it's like, and like the voice of reason that sort of like comes in there, and it's like, why did this person even have to say that?
This was so fun.
Why does somebody have to be the mom maker?
Because they're like me, and they cannot not do it. It comes over us. That's why. I've stopped doing it on Facebook because
people attack you.
Oh my God. Yeah. And I get attacked enough.
If there's one thing the internet hates, it's the voice of reason.
I know, right? Yeah. That's so funny.
So besides sharing too much on the internet, do you have any advice for people just getting their Pelotons?
The piece of advice people seem to always give is get your bike size correctly, which is really such an important thing. It's to make sure that even if you buy it like mine, where my husband says it's new to me, make sure that at least YouTube or somebody shows you how to set the bike up so that your bike is set up so that you don't hurt yourself, because I think that cycling is one of those things, like it doesn't hurt, and then it hurts real bad.
Yeah.
And because I've had that happen to me, where all of a sudden it's like, I'm fine. You've got those endorphins going, and then you're like, oh my God, my hip hurts, or this hurts, and why? So making sure that your bike is sized correctly. The other thing that I always think is your shoes. The shoes, I feel like nobody talks about the shoes. Shoes are so important. Making sure that your shoes are fit correctly, that you like the way they feel on your feet. Spinning shoes aren't comfortable by any stretch of the imagination, but at least that they're not too tight. Because if they're too tight, your feet are going to fall asleep while you're on those pedals.
Yep.
It's just, to me, that's something that is so easily overlooked. And don't be afraid to go outside. And I don't use Peloton shoes. I use these Pearl Zoomy shoes that I've been using for a bazillion years, because I tried using my Peloton shoes and I was like, I don't really like these. And so I went back to the ones that I like, that are me, that fit for me. And probably the most important thing is like listening to your body. The thing that I was talking about earlier, when you're in the class and you so badly want to do the class, make sure that if your body is telling you, please stop, or please don't, or this hurts, that voice is telling you that for a reason. And now that you have this, like, to me before, it was like, this is, when you would go to a private studio or whatever, you'd be like, well, I paid my $30 and I'm here and I want my workout. Like this is it for me for today. So I want to come here and I want my workout. Now you have your Peloton. If this isn't working, you jump on something else, or jump off, walk it off for an hour, and you come back to it tomorrow. That's what's so nice about the Peloton, is that it's available to you all the time. So be patient with yourself. I mean, we're not all going to get, a Kindle metal ride. I took one of those metal rides. I've been riding for a long time. And I thought I was going to pass out at one point. I was like, this is really hard. And I don't know how she's calling out these numbers, because these numbers, I was like, these, like my brain was going, this isn't correct. These numbers aren't right. She's saying them, but she really doesn't mean.
She's
like,
bluffing.
She can't mean what she's saying, because like that, I was thinking about that Metallica ride. It's like, she can't really mean what she's saying on this thing, that this is insane. And then, talk to people about, we talk about the groups, and, if you're comfortable putting out there, what should I ride, or I feel like now everybody has one, where before it was like, you needed to sort of seek somebody out. Now it's like, throw a stone and that person has Peloton. So, talk to them, see what they like, tell them what you like, or what kind of exerciser you are, and see if they have any kind of recommendations. That's pretty much all I've got for that's a lot for a beginner. Or you could read the blog if you want.
There's always that.
There's always that.
I should put in, I don't want to shamelessly plug, but I guess shameless plug, you could also read that too.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. Before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you on the internet. If you would like to be found, you have a blog, so I'm assuming you would like to be found.
Well, yes. So the blog is again, it's clairewerner.substack.com. You could go into Substack and the blog name is Who, What, Ride, When. I said that very fast. Who, What, Ride, When. I am Claire Spins ATL on the leaderboard, and I have an Instagram page for Who, What, Ride, When. I'm trying to get better. I always post when there's updates, but I'm like, sometimes I'm like, do people really care about what I ate today? Do people really care? Like, do people I don't know. I don't know the answers to those questions. So I'm trying to be better. I don't want to be a content machine. I feel like, as you said, it's very disingenuous, but at the same time, I kind of want to keep the momentum going. So
absolutely,
that's for me.
You'll find the right rhythm.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Clip out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. What, pray tell, do you have in store for people next week?
Next week, we are going to talk to a medical student extraordinaire, Gabby Bronner.
Awesome. Well, until then, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/CrystalDO'Keefe, and they can find me on Instagram, Twitter, the bike, and the tread at ClipOutCrystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/TheClipOut. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our YouTube channel. Lots of stuff for you to see this week at youtube.com/TheClipOut. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep pedaling
and running.
Clip in, set yourself